Um, my guest today is Gani Kuyuigan. Sorry, do I pronounce this correctly? Kuyugan?
Kuyugan. It's Kuyugan.
Kuyugan, fantastic. He's a chief sales officer at Quick Insure. And yeah, we just jump right in. Love fintech, but we also do a lot of insurtech lately. Very interested in the topic, and maybe can you just start with telling us a little bit what is Quick Insure and what do you guys actually do?
Quick Insure is actually the first and only, for now, the locally grown insurtech company here in the Philippines. We are a brokerage with digital distribution. So we have an online marketplace. We cater to different kinds of insurance needs, such as life and non-life. So we have licenses for both life and non-life. For life insurance, we have the traditional and also the VUL, the investment linked. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we accelerate the insurance inclusion here in the Philippines by providing services through digital distribution. So if you're going to look at our marketplace, you have all kinds of insurance there. You can buy, you can get vehicle insurance. You can also get HMO and all the types of lines through digital. It's fairly new. It's an insurtech company. And our aim is to, again, accelerate the insurance inclusion here in the Philippines through digital distribution.
Amazing. And I mean, I come from Germany, as you can probably tell from my accent. It's one of the most heavily insured countries in the world, Germany. Maybe make a comparison also. What are some of the, maybe you can describe a little bit insurance space in the Philippines a little bit, and what are some of the unique challenges in this market that you see?
Well, insurance, as you can compare in other more progressive countries, insurance here in the Philippines is not as attractive yet, because of probably the financial literacy that we have. Not everyone sees the needs of an insurance. It also has a lot of stigma that insurance is it's very expensive. It's just for a certain segment or a class in the society. Another stigma is it's complicated and it's just a cost. It doesn't have any benefits. You just pay and then nothing goes to you. So that's the stigma that we have right now here in the Philippines.
And how do you cope with this? Obviously, you have been in the space for 10 years. You're very well seasoned and experienced sales manager in the space. How do you work on a market like this, and how do you make it work?
Yeah, well, the traditional way of doing or selling insurance is through agents. So agents would talk to people personally, and then they offer what the client needs. That is still the traditional way. Again, not everyone is aware that insurance can address all needs across all the spectrum in the society. Whether you're low income, high income, or middle income, there is an insurance need that is necessary to be addressed by an insurance policy. Right now, as I've mentioned, in the Philippines context, sales and insurance penetration is still driven by people, which is very important. I understand that. But the technology-wise, we're still lagging behind. That is why we are pushing through technology to be able to help the acceleration of the insurance penetration here in the Philippines.
Do you, when we're talking about digitization and using digital distribution channels, do you find that there is a specific customer segment that becomes, more susceptible to these new distribution channels that also correlates with the need of your products?
Yeah, definitely. As we found out, the millennials, even the Gen Z, are the ones more attracted towards getting insurance through digital platforms and digital means. Towards the older sector of the society, they are still inclined to talk to people, which is understandable because that's the tradition that we have. Insurance is a trust product. You would need to gain the trust of a person, a company, or even the product to be able to buy insurance. So, yes, agents or people are very necessary to be able to sell insurance, but for convenience, for speed, and even for those who are technologically savvy, they would rather get an insurance through digital distribution rather than talking to agents. So it's a combination of both. And as the generation goes by, people become more technologically savvy. They would prefer going to different online marketplace to purchase. Talking about Shopee, Lazada here. Prior to the pandemic, it was not as attractive. But when the pandemic came, people became more um, inclined to doing purchases online. And that's how we see insurance being done also in the future here in the Philippines.
You buy insurance directly from e-commerce platforms.
Yes, an
Amazing.
e-commerce platform, yes, an online marketplace.
Very interesting. We'll, drill down on those distribution channels a little bit in just a minute. Can you tell me, since we were talking about millennials and this, new interesting segment of potential buyers of the services for the insurance industry, can you describe a little bit what is the typical Filipino insurance buyer and what are the insurances that they need? What are the biggest needs? Maybe also, because I believe it plays a little bit of a role with psychology, because insurance is mostly psychology. You buy something before you actually need it, right? So maybe you could expand a little bit in this direction, and what are your experiences there? So
let's segment it to the different insurance lines. First is the vehicle insurance. More or less, there are 30 to 40 million vehicles here in the Philippines. Of course, as a regulation in other countries, you are supposed to get or to have an auto insurance, a comprehensive insurance. But here in the Philippines, you're not required unless your car is under mortgage, under a financial institution or a bank. That is the only time that you are required to get a comprehensive insurance. So, comprehensive insurance is one of actually the insurance segments that is big in our company. Almost 50% of our policies sold come from the vehicle insurance. Also, another segment is the life insurance. Um, the life insurance would vary from different kinds of products, and it addresses different needs of a person. For example, if you are a typical 23 or 24-year-old person, or which is considered as a millennial or a Gen Z, most likely you will be getting an insurance that has an investment linked portion of it. Why? Because you have longer time to invest your money. So as you are getting coverage with your life, you will also have a potential growth of money. Um, that is a typical one. On the other segments, we have also micro insurance. Those who are in the low income segment, they can be insured for as low as 5 pesos. Um, that's 20 cents USD. Um, and you'll be able to get insured whenever if you ha- uh, if you encounter an unforeseen incident like an accident. At least your family gets something, not as big, but you can use it as for um, burial expenses or even the expenses of the family as you are gone, you being the breadwinner. So different kinds of insurances. You have life, you have non-life. Um, Very big nowadays is the traditional life insurance, the term insurance. It has been seen throughout the past few years, even prior to the pandemic, that the awareness of the need of insurance is getting bigger and bigger. So the first entry to the insurance, if you're going to get the life insurance, would probably be a term insurance. A term insurance is a short-term insurance. It's less costly, it's less expensive in terms of premium, but the coverage would be big. But that's pure protection. It becomes more complex when you add investment to it, if you add also a medical coverage, such as critical illness and all those things. So as for us, Quick Insure, what we would want to do is we would want to make sure that every Filipinos are getting the insurance that they need based on their needs, based on their paying capacity, and based on their family needs as well.
You mentioned it just now. Very, very interesting topic is you mentioned paying capacity. How do you measure the paying capacity of a user? Is it all self-reported? Because I would assume that this requires a lot of external data to really verify what a consumer makes in terms of salary, income, assets in the family, etc.
Well, the number one basis, of course, is the household income, which equates to the household expenses. If you are getting a life insurance, you are insuring the economic value of the person. If I'm the breadwinner, for example, and my economic value to the family is 1 million pesos, or let's say $100,000 or $200,000, I will get an insurance of that amount so that if I am not able to produce the income that is needed for the family, the life insurance will be the one to pay for it. If let's say I'm a low income earner, minimum wage probably, I would get the same amount of insurance with a lower premium because of the less coverage that I will be getting. So in my case, personally, whenever I talk to clients and we talk about the economic value of the person to the family, we talk about not just the salary, but the actual spending of the whole household. And that can be replaced by an insurance coverage if something happens to the breadwinner of the family.
Very interesting. So what I assume is that the information that the policy buyers are self-reporting is also the basis for your calculation.
Of course. Let's say, as I've explained, if a person would want to protect his income, which is the one that's being used by the whole household or the family, we will base it on that. If the person earns 10 million pesos, the insurance coverage most probably be 10 million as well. Again, it's the earning capacity, the paying capacity as well. Relatively, this is just me. When I create a portfolio for a client based on savings, based on investments and protection, um, 10 to 20% is allotted for insurance. And then now the other percentage are spread out to investments if they can afford, paying mortgage, savings, and even emergency funds.
Got it. Okay, I would like to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about you, Gani. It's such an interesting, opportunity to speak. I would like to understand. Tell us a little bit more about you and how does a typical day look like when Gani comes to the office in the morning. What's the first thing you do? What are typical tasks during the day and how is everything, when you're chief sales officer in an insurtech company? What do you do?
Well, we founded the company during the pandemic. That was 2020. So, of course, everything during those times were done online. So, meetings are happening via Zoom, Teams. So there, a typical day nowadays, since the society, since Philippines has loosened up a bit, would be of course, waking up. I wake up normally around 6 in the morning, um, because I would want to take time to be able to prepare for work. Sometimes I do run, sometimes I swim as well, if given the time. But my work starts at 8:30 in the morning. That's a time that you start reading emails, responding to any correspondences that I need to reply to, and then mostly meetings. So right now I am outside the office. I'm supposed to meet with one of the CEOs of one of our partners. So I am mobile actually. Um, and it's a typical, but one good thing about the pandemic is um, it proved that you can do your work even if you're not physically in an office. Work can be done anywhere else, as long as, of course, there's internet, and of course, you have a structure that you built for yourself. A typical day would be meetings, checking on the people, checking on the sales numbers, and it's a constant trying to understand the what's happening in the insurance industry, in the economy of the Philippines, the business as a whole, that would be able to help me, with running the company. So outside work, is it okay if I talk about that?
Absolutely.
Of course. So if I'm not doing work, I am a triathlete. I do triathlons. Done Ironman twice. Joined some races. So if I'm not at work, most probably I am outside, either running, biking, or in the pool swimming. I do tennis as well. So mostly physical. Just to make sure that the body is ready to accept any challenges at work and life as a whole.
It's so interesting. I keep hearing this again from successful successful achievers, that they really take care of two aspects in their life. One is the body, and the other one is the mind. These are two motors that you really have to maintain very well in order to keep going. I would totally agree to that. This is also in line with my observation. In talking about the business and how to keep specifically your buyers and your users on the track there, has there been anything that you can observe specifically in business where you see spikes? I mean, just as an example, when you see the pandemic, and a lot of people become more aware of how important it actually is to be insured, especially in challenging environments when it comes to medical, when it comes to infrastructure like that. Are there other examples that you have observed in the 3 years leading from here to 2020, where you see, wow, this is actually something like say maybe something that spikes demand for Quick Insure and the products you guys offer?
Well, actually, we are very happy that the e-commerce has boomed in a lot of ways, thanks to the pandemic, thanks also to the technology, and we would want to ride that wave. Insurance is something that is not seen as a need here in the country, and through e-commerce and through technology and even online platforms, we will be able to again bring insurance to every Filipinos, no matter how it would be addressed and how it would be sold, and also how it will address all the needs or any problems that they have. So we are very happy that the technology is there. It becomes something something that would help us be able to distribute to more people. An example would be GCash. Prior to the pandemic, GCash is not as big. It's an e-wallet. People still prefer to pay in cash, pay using their debit cards. But with the pandemic here in the Philippines, GCash has boomed. We have partnered with GCash as well. So you just don't use GCash as an e-wallet. You also use it as other means, such as insurance, to get insurance, and for other things, to pay bills as well. So every time that there is an innovation happening in the digital world, we are very happy, because it's an opportunity for us to reach our goals, to accelerate insurance inclusion in the Philippines, through digital means. So those are the things that we are really looking at. If there are some innovations, new things done through technology, we try to think that how can we use that to be able to help us with our mission as a Quick Insure.
Very interesting. So it also means that the development of the distribution platforms are actually one way for you to reduce friction to make insurance more accessible to the population. Now, GCash is a wallet. You also mentioned in the beginning, and we wanted to come back to that, to typical e-commerce platforms. You already named it Shopee, Lazada. How does the channel work in this direction?
Well, these are partnerships. We consider them our B2B2C partners. We leverage on their client base and we sell to them. So rather than doing an individual selling, which takes a lot of effort, capitalization, and resources, what we are focusing more on now is partnering with these fintech apps, e-commerce platforms, and even e-wallets, and leverage on their client base, and partner with them in distributing insurance products. It varies from different kinds of distribution. Some would embed insurance, some would put it as a supplemental benefit to their main product. So it can be distributed in different ways. But what's important is we leverage on the client base, and we help the partners distribute insurance products as a supplemental or complementary product for them.
Very interesting. I would imagine that this really streamlines very well in a situation where there's a concrete need and an intent, and everything is identified in a specific situation when a purchase probably happens in that second, and everything really comes together. The payment method is already there. It has just been used, and maybe this whole idea of cross-selling that we know from so many years in, for instance, Amazon, or also in China with Alibaba or Taobao. If a purchase of one item has been made, a second purchase for a secondary auxiliary item that can be used in this context of the first becomes much more likely. Can you maybe explain, is there something similar that can be utilized for insurance? And if so, how do you do it in detail?
Yeah, so we're working on with one of our partners. It's bills payment insurance. So every time you make a payment using their facility, there's an option there to get an insurance if something happens to you. A payment for a certain number of months will be covered by the insurance. If, let's say, you pass away, the bills are still paid. It's covered by the insurance for a certain number of months. That is the kind of insurance, embedded insurance, that you would want as a supplemental and complementary product or benefit to what they are offering. That's one. Second, we're working on as well with, we're actually in Lazada and Shopee, and we're working on other merchandise platforms that if they purchase a certain item, if something happens from the delivery, even upon usage of that item, a certain amount of coverage will be provided if it gets damaged or if you lose it. So these are the things that we are working on, we're looking at. It's not the typical insurance that most people would think of. It's about whether you die, your family gets something, or if you lose a limb, you get something. So it becomes more interesting because it can now be related to an everyday product that a typical person uses. Insurance can be in that particular scenario all the time.
Fascinating. And another thing that struck me really was when you said that around 50%, if I get this right, of the insurance you currently do are for vehicles. Can you maybe also explain, since distribution in that space must be one of your major occupations, how does distribution of vehicle insurance in the Philippines works? What are the factors that are really important that you can't ignore?
Well, the reason why a big bulk of our policies sold come from the vehicle insurance is we started as a vehicle insurance. That was where we give focus on. So you can get a comprehensive automotive insurance in our website, um, and get an issue once in 20 or 15 to 20 minutes, as long as all the requirements are complete. So that is why we also have our outbound sales representatives. We call them the insurance advisors. So if a person is not comfortable getting insurance using the online platform, they can also talk to people and guide them towards getting the right insurance. We are a brokerage. The advantage of being a brokerage is we have several partners, and we present to clients the best product in terms of comparison. It may be pricing, it may be also the coverage. And our main objective is to make sure that the client would be able to choose amongst our partners and get the most suitable product for their preference. That is how a brokerage would work. Um, and as you have mentioned here in the Philippines, if your car, okay, talking about the insurance, the vehicle insurance, probably there are 20 to 30 million vehicles operating right now in the Philippines. If you are under a mortgage, your car is under mortgage, the bank or the financial institution would require a comprehensive insurance. So as something happens to the car, amortization will be paid. That's the coverage that they require. Some of the clients that we have, more on the high end spectrum, would of course want insurance coverage for the expensive cars. That's why they get the comprehensive insurance as well. Typically, when you get a registration here for your car, you're only required a CTPL. That is the lowest kind of insurance. It does not cover the whole car, but a certain damage to property. It's a secondary insurance. It's not the first one. And another level of making sure that the car is secured, you get the comprehensive insurance. So no matter what happens to your car, whether it's an own damage, you get into accident, or even acts of nature, um, you get coverage. Um, yeah, that is
Right.
why. Yeah, and we're building also. Again, one of the main focus that we have right now is partnership with other entities, other companies, um, to make sure that insurance becomes a complementary or a supplementary product for them.
Very interesting. I would like to again switch gears, and since we've been talking a lot about distribution and some of the main products and who are the customers and how does distribution work, some of the main things, what would generally be interesting for me is like, how does the supply side actually look like? Where do you get your product from? Who are main players in the Philippines, and how does it play into the selection of the product that you offer to your customers?
Well, since we are a broker, we can partner with multiple insurance providers for life, non-life, even HMO, for health. Um, and although we have multiple partners, we just want to make sure that we partner with those who have a reliable brand name. Um, we just don't partner with anyone because as a broker, we represent clients and their welfare. So if we see that a particular partner is not delivering to what they have promised, we choose another one. Again, our mandate by the insurance commission is we forefront the needs of our clients. We represent the clients, not the insurance providers. That is why we want to make sure whatever insurance, maybe life, non-life, um, we give them the best based on their needs and preferences. The beauty about the brokerage is this: we just guide our clients in choosing the right insurance for them through different options. You can do that also. A typical person, if you're looking for a life insurance, for example, For you to be able to get different quotes from different companies, you'd have to talk to multiple people. The beauty about talking to a brokerage is you just talk to one person and you'll be able to see the different products and different proposals and different quotes. That's why a brokerage um, is sometimes this very advantageous in that particular side.
And the prices would always be the same whether I buy from a broker or directly from the insurance. So I mean, some of the listeners might not be 100% familiar of like, why do I need a broker in between, right? I mean, I can just read the policy myself and then I choose the one. So how does the usage of a broker or Quick Insure, or just in general, what are the mechanics in there, and what does it make? How does it make it more convenient to buy an insurance from a broker like you, or just go out there and buy from an insurer directly?
A common misconception if you're talking to a broker is it's more expensive because there's an extra cost, because there's an extra level rather than talking directly, which is not true. Okay, if you talk to let's say an insurance provider that offers life insurance, it will be the same price and the same premium as what we offer. So pricing, it will be the same because we follow the certain regulations in terms of pricing and rating, which we cannot change. So in terms of pricing, it will be the same. Now the advantage is just talking to one person, you'll be able to see the differences of one product to another, from one provider to another, from one coverage benefit to another. So it saves you time. That's number one. And second, as a mandate, as a broker, we will not push any product because we have the ability to let you choose which one is for you. If you're talking to an agent of one company alone, the product push will just be on the products that they offer. For a broker, we offer multiple products and we just guide in choosing the right insurance for them. Probably if you're from Germany, here in the Philippines, just to put it in the context, agents or insurance advisors cannot represent multiple insurance providers. Unlike in other countries, if you, let's say you are a financial advisor, you can offer multiple products from multiple insurance providers. Here in the Philippines, if you're licensed from licensed with one insurance provider, you're only allowed to sell products under that provider. So now the brokerage or the broker can now be able to distribute multiple products, and again, it's for the welfare of the client to be able to see which products is best for them just by talking to one person, a broker.
I was thinking, because I have a background from financial services and especially also from distributing fund products myself. I would assume one of the major, I would say, moral hazard questions that were asked after the financial crisis were, why were all of these products sold to these institutional clients? And one of the common answers was essentially, okay, there are kickbacks, right? And this is how the industry works, especially in financial institutions. Can you explain a little bit how the mechanics for a broker work? How do you guys make money? What's the business model of Quick Insure?
Yeah, it's actually it's based on commission. It's the same commission that the provider gives the agents. That's our source of income. Um, so there shouldn't be any difference in terms of pricing. Sometimes a brokerage can negotiate and leverage at the partnership. Sometimes we are given a different rating, a lower one, because we commit to a certain number of volumes. Sometimes a brokerage would provide a cheaper premium, depending on the agreement between one provider and us, and through us. Um, so there. Our business model, as you can see, we have our online marketplace that addresses the direct to consumer segment. If you'd want to buy insurance, you can go straight to our online marketplace, buy insurance there. If you're not comfortable and you still want to talk to a person, you also have that distribution channel through an insurance advisor. And we also have the B2B2C, which is partnering with other companies, platforms, leveraging on their clients, selling insurance as a bundle, as a supplemental and complemental product. We also have, surprisingly, um, we also have B2B partners. As employee benefits, they get insurance. They would want to see which ones would be the best for them in terms of pricing, in terms of coverage. We give them quotes. We help them get the right insurance for their employees. That's not the focus right now, but it just keeps on coming. Um, and yeah, it's a source of income also. It's a good source of cash flow.
Right. And can you discuss a little bit about some of the success stories? I imagine, like when you provide insurance to thousands of people, you must have had one or two cases through direct or indirect contact of your distribution channels where somebody has gotten back to you and said, like, thank God I had this insurance. Can you share a little bit of that?
Yeah, there's a lot. No, claims is something that we are very we give so much focus on claims. We make sure that we don't pass any claims to other providers. If there is a claims, they call us. We have a claims team. It's Quick Insure, and then we take care of it. We are very happy whenever we see comments in our Google saying that you just talk to one person from our claims department, and we take care of everything, from the collection of the requirements from the clients, and then even with the negotiation with the providers. um, Surprisingly, they are very happy with our claims. That's one thing. Second is, whenever we land on a very big project, meaning we partner with big companies. We have partnered with one of the largest tire distribution here in the Philippines. Um, and they embed roadside assistance and personal accident upon purchase of the wheels. At least buying two wheels, they get a free roadside assistance and also a personal accident. So again, these are the things, and they're talking about 10 million clients in a year buying tires. So those are our success stories, and we would want to continue doing that. Again, the partnership is very big for us because their main product can always be supplemented and be complemented by an insurance product.
Amazing. Is there anything that you see in further plans where you guys would like to expand in the coming years, reaching more customers?
Yeah, in the pipeline here, for 2023, we are talking to the regulators to be able to build a brokerage agency network, which is not yet present here in the Philippines. That's what we are trying to do. Not too much getting into details, but it would be something very big. So imagine the Philippines becoming like the more progressive countries wherein an insurance advisor or an agent will be able to sell multiple products from multiple providers. That is something that we are working on with the regulators. Hopefully, we'll be able to work that out, which means that would help us with our mission as more people are introducing life insurance or non-life insurance to others. The insurance inclusion becomes bigger and bigger because of that manpower capacity or the sales force capacity.
Just more multipliers in the market that you can utilize to distribute all sorts of providers, and as competition is good for business, that would also boost yours.
Yeah, we call them super agents. One agent being able to have license with us as a brokerage and being able to sell different kinds of different kinds of insurance. So instead, again, it becomes more convenient for clients because you just only talk to one person, and that person could provide vehicle insurance, life insurance, HMO, fire and property, just one. Because the setup right now is you have to talk to different people to be able to get different kinds of insurances. I think that would revolutionize the insurance industry here in the Philippines.
Very interesting. So we have around 5 minutes left, and I would like to, stop the conversation after the last question. It usually goes a little bit further into the future, not just your business plans, but we talk a lot about technology on this podcast and future technology. Lately in the news, you probably heard about ChatGPT. You heard about probably a lot of the new advances in AI. Where do you see the Philippines insurance market go into the coming years? What are new products that immediately come to mind when you think about these new technologies? It doesn't have to be AI, it can be blockchain, but it can be just basically anything that comes to your mind. Where do you put your focus, and where do you think this is going to be the next big thing in insurance?
Well, personally, this is a personal opinion. Before we go towards the more complex ones, the shiny and the ones, we'd have to address first the basic needs. So if we're looking at a pyramid, I use that all the time as an analogy. There's a pyramid. You have to address first the base, which is the personal and family needs, and then you move towards the next. We'll see. But we are very in watch out. We are very happy if there are some innovations, as I've mentioned, that are happening, and we leverage on that because we can always use those things, the new things, new technology to be able to help us. But in as a personal note, we're using the blockchain already. That can be another way of securing, because that needs insurance also. Even cryptocurrency needs insurance. We're actually talking to one of the pioneers of the crypto currencies here in the Philippines, and we're trying to offer how we'll be able to protect the transfers from crypto to the actual traditional currencies and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we are working on. It's still vague at this time.
Valuable.
Because not everyone is still using it. Some are very familiar with it, and we'll see how it goes. But we are on the watch out always of these new things.
Yanni, thank you so much to join us here on the Smile podcast. Thanks for your time. Hope to welcome you anytime soon again. And all the best for you and your business. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much also. It's a pleasure. And anytime, I'll be very excited to have another session with you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you.